The first thing that I'm going to just talk about just generally is volunteering for the club. And also I'll talk about our volunteer incentive program. We'll get into that as it relates to officials, levels, and clinics. So in order to be able to volunteer as an official on the deck, we have a training program, an official's pathway that you will sort of embark upon. So we'll talk a little bit about just the introduction to that. I don't want to get into all the weeds, but we'll start at least with officials, levels, and clinics. I will introduce to you the Swimming Canada registration system and the learning management system, which are two external systems to OAK that you will interact with as a swim official. We'll sort of talk about what you need to know about getting signed up if you want to volunteer at a home meet, at an OAK hosted meet. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about deck evaluations because that relates back to officials' levels and progressing up the officials' ladder. And in that, we'll also sort of talk about what are the next steps once you've sort of started with the basic officials clinics. So right down to the basics. Why do we have to volunteer? So swimming is a very volunteer intensive sport. We need, in order to fully staff a deck, and you learn this in your first clinic that you'll take, the introduction to swimming officiating, we need probably 40 to 50 people to staff one session of one swim meet. Some swim meets may be only a session. So when you are starting and your swimmers are little, we have just one session on one day for your swimmers to attend. But as they move on to higher levels of competition, those swim meets become more involved. They could last over several days and they may be several sessions long. And so we multiply that number 50 times the number of sessions that we run. So we require a lot of volunteers on the deck. The nice thing about swim officiating is that everyone who volunteers as an official is a volunteer. No one is paid. We are all volunteers, right from the referee at the top or the meet manager right down to the very bottom. So everyone that you will see on the deck is not paid. We're all volunteers. If you go to Olympic trials, all of the officials that are on the deck are volunteers. So each season we host several meets. The first one at the top of the list, we have actually already completed. So this one, the Brad Townsend, we had that a few weeks ago. We're about to hit our first novice or development meet, the mini Oaks meet. And then we have our David Lawson, that this competition is our biggest of the season, and it is a 6 or 7 session meet. And then we have 2 more novice meets to round out the season. Sometimes we will also offer to co-host a provincial level meet or a regional meet, in which case that number of competitions may increase. So what we ask of all of our parents is that in order to help us to run these competitions, we require you as a family to volunteer at these competitions. So if you are a Mini Oaks parent, your requirement is to volunteer for 2 sessions. It can be at any of the swim meets that we host. It does not have to be at a competition that your swimmer will participate in, although that tends to be people's preference. If you are a performance family, you will likely have to volunteer at sessions that your swimmers are not participating in. And the reason for that is because we need volunteers at the new level, timekeepers, the newest officials on our deck, and we also need senior level officials who have more experience. And the fact is that our novice meets, we cannot staff with novice parents because they don't have the officiating experience to do so. So we do depend on our performance parents to help support our novice swim meet program, if that makes sense. So these are your requirements as you are a volunteer. And I will tell you that while the number may seem a little bit daunting at the higher end, this is a very small number of volunteer commitments for our club as compared to most clubs that you would find in our area. For example, if you were to be hosting or participating in Etobicoke, you would probably have about 4 times that number of commitments for a season, 3 to 4 times. So we have a relatively small parent commitment required for our families. Gaurav, did you have a question?
Yeah, thanks, Anita. Just want to figure out the numbers and our presence. So we have a kid in performance group, and she just started,
Yep,
and we both can volunteer. So my question is like, if we both volunteer in an event, will that be counted as two or one?
it would be, yes. Yep, it's just a number of sessions per family. So however you divide that up, if you can have 2 parents working in one session, then you can get 2 knocked off your requirement.
Great. And just follow-up question, because you just shared that we can also participate in mini oaks,
Yes,
just to fast track our presence or more availability. So we can do that too, right?
you can.
If we
Yep.
are
And
sufficient and
and
yeah.
quite frankly, we need parents to do that. We need our performance parents to help at our mini Oaks meets because we need them to fill the more senior positions, right? So I would encourage you not to be doing timekeeping at those meets because that is probably the only job that that those parents will be doing. So hopefully you've been with the club long enough that, or you've had experience in swimming long enough that you might be able to do another job. But we can talk a little bit about sort of the hierarchy of officiating jobs as we go through. So the role of officials. At the end of the day, the purpose of an official on the deck is basically to contribute to a fair, safe, and positive environment. So as an official, we require you to do jobs like timekeeping. So the obvious reason for swimmers to race is to achieve times, and therefore we need timers to support that. Timekeeping is sort of the first level of job or of officiating. And then we build on that. So we also need inspectors of turns and judges of strokes who will look at the swimming that is happening in the pool and determine whether or not there are rules that are being broken, for example, and on and on and on, right? We have higher levels of responsibility as you learn more about the sport. So why should you be an official? Well, you're there, of course, because we tell you you have to, right? We require you as parents to participate. So that's a good reason. Quite frankly, it's the best place to watch your swimmers. The stands are hot and full, and so you have an opportunity to be on the deck where the action is happening. If you're anything like I am, I was never a very good spectator. I get bored. I don't want to sit for 4 hours in the stands and when my swimmer is going to race for 5 minutes of that time. So I always enjoyed being on the deck to help. And then hopefully you'll also meet people, you'll have some fun, and you'll develop your skills as your swimmer moves up the officiating ladder. So in terms of official certification, we start at a level 1. The highest level of certification is a 5. I will warn you that the officials pathway is under redevelopment over the next couple of years. So this flow will likely change. It will become less level oriented and it's going to become more role oriented. So we'll focus more on specific positions as opposed to levels. But the key for all of you to know is that as a new parent and as a new official, everything that you do now will be equally relatable or applicable in the new pathway. So every course that you take will still apply in the new pathway. It will just, we're just, sort of redistributing how we recognize achievement, I guess, is the best way to discuss it. So as a level 1 official, what are the things that you need to do? So as a new parent, when you come in, we are hoping or requiring for you to get some volunteer commitments. There are jobs on the deck which do not require. So Hong Bao, I'm going to talk about this right now. How can I become a volunteer? So there are jobs on the deck that you can do at the novice meets that do not require you to have any qualifications. So we can talk about that in a little bit more detail. However, the most obvious job or sort of the introductory job on the deck is that of a timekeeper. So when you become a level 1 official and you have taken your timers clinic, which is also called the Introduction to Swimming Officiating, you will be qualified to do timekeeping. So what do you need to do to become a volunteer. The first thing you have to do is you need to register. When I say register, I do not mean with OAK, I mean with Swimming Canada. So Swimming Canada is the governing body that manages all of the officiating for our sport. So you register with Swimming Canada. The office will facilitate this for you. So when you want to become a swim official, you contact the office. Jane or Ariana will register you with Swimming Canada and create a Swimming Canada account. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. Your next step is to take the Timers Clinic. So we're going to talk a little bit about how that can be done. And then the second thing that you need to do is take the Safety Marshal Clinic. When you do those three things, register the Timers Clinic, the Safety Marshals Clinic, you are considered to be a level 1 official. And now you are qualified to work on the deck as a timer, okay, as a timekeeper. So the first step, Swim Canada registration. All officials who want to officiate at a sanctioned competition need to be registered. And this is an annual process. So every year at the end of the year, Swimming Canada sort of closes their books on this season and you re-register the next season. Part of registration, what is important about registration is 1, this is how your activity as a swim official is tracked. 2, you sign a bunch of consents that say that basically you agree to abide by a code of conduct. There is a Rowan's Law piece that basically explains to you the importance of concussion protocols and management. And then there's also a registration fee that is paid by OAK to Swimming Canada. And the reason for that is basically to ensure that you are covered under an insurance policy when you're actually stepping onto the deck. So as an official or as any person working on the pool deck, you need to be registered with Swimming Canada for the purposes of this insurance. So that's another piece that's important. So even if you are going to work as in a role like a runner or as a marshal that doesn't require you to have a clinic, you still need to be registered. And again, if you have any questions about registration, you can talk to the office and they will make sure that they get you registered. Once you've registered, you can use the dashboard, which allows you to, I will show you the dashboard screen. This allows you to connect your swimmer's account with your official's account. So when your swimmer registers with Swimming Canada, they will also have a swimmer account. So here you can see it talks about associated swimmer accounts. So here you can put the names, the accounts that belong to your swimmers, and then your officials' accounts. So this shows your status as an official, and it allows you to log into one place and have access to all of the information through Swimming Canada, so all of your accounts. But what's important here is that as an official, you are green, status active, and you have done 100% of the things that you need to do in order to become registered. And again, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty details, but the office can help you if you have any trouble with this. So once you're registered, the next step, and this is just sort of some of the information in your registration, it just has your name, your phone numbers, all of that kind of stuff, your club, and then your official's account. You are now registered with a club within the province of Ontario and then within Swimming Canada. So the next step that we have in our process, right, we talked about the first step was registration. The next step is we have 2 clinics to take. We have the Timer Clinic and we have the Safety Marshal Clinic. There are 2 ways that you can take these 2 clinics. The first way is in an in-person situation. So the way I am running this program tonight. So you can sign up for a clinic, you can join it via Zoom, or you could join it in person. So both of these forms are what I'll call an instructor-led clinic, right? So a live person talking to you about these clinic materials. The second way that you can take an officials clinic is through our learning management system. So the Swimming Canada Learning Management System can be found at this website, edu.swimming.ca. You log in using the exact same registration account that you logged in previously to your registration account. So this Swimming Canada registration account is also your login for the learning management system. When you log into the learning management system, this is a little bit of what that screen looks like. Actually, you know what? Let me go out of this for a second, if I can. Okay, so if you guys can see my screen here, I've come to this website that I talked about, edu.swimming.ca. I can sign in using my officials account. So when I log in, this is the page that you will land on. It gives you instructions based on the fact that you are an official. So because I'm official, here's my official instructions. You can read through this information. What it tells you basically is that if you would like to find out all the things that you have done towards your officiating qualifications, you click the status button. And that brings you to a screen that talks to you about all the clinics that you can take. So you can see in the list here, you can take, just do a little, you can take the Introduction to Officiating e-module, okay, which is the timekeeper clinic, which I said that you need to take in order to become a timer. So you can take it in the form of an e-module, or you can take it in the form of an instructor-led clinic. And the way you would register for either of those is via this red button here. So you can see for the clinic that is an instructor-led clinic, the button says register for instructor-led clinic. If it's an e-module, it tells you start the e-learning module. So you click on that button and it would allow you to start that module. If I click on one of these buttons, register for instructor-led clinic, it is going to take me to another page which has a list of all the instructor-led clinics that that I can take. Okay, these are all sort of available to you. You can go and look on, look for which clinic you would like to take. If you want to take the, chief timer clinic, you can do a list and it will tell you within the province what clinics are available, or if they're completed, that they're completed. So if we are running a timer clinic or a safety marshal clinic within our club, you can register this way for it, but you can also register for a clinic that's being run by another club. So for example, let's say that Mississauga was running a clinic that you wanted to attend, you can register for that clinic if they've listed it in this resource. If you go back to the page that I was at previously, back to our status page, if you want to take an e-learning module, you click on Start e-learning module. And the next thing that's going to happen is it's going to bring you to the e-learning module and it will step you through it. So there's those two ways to take the clinics that you need to become a level 1 official. You can take them through an instructor, or you can do them through an e-learning module. Once you have completed the requirements of that clinic and you've gone all the way through, it will show on your status page that those clinics are complete, right? So you can see in my record here, it shows that I have completed the timekeeper e-module. I've also completed the in-person clinic because when I did clinics, there were no e-modules, so we didn't have the opportunity to go in, and we could only take them as an instructor-led clinic. We didn't have e-modules. So that's the way that you can take your clinics. Again, if you have any questions at all about how to register either for the learning management system clinics or the instructor-led clinics, please contact the office. They are there to be able to help that process. I see a couple of questions here. So question on average, how long are the e-modules? It depends on which one. The timekeeper e-module is about 15 minutes. The introduction to swimming officiating is probably 20 to 25 minutes-ish. And so to start with, the two modules that you're going to take are just those two, safety marshal and the timer Intro to Officiating. So those are your two modules. In terms of, I see somebody's having trouble with your account. So if you're having official account problems, you can contact the office, or you can send me an email. And at the end of this, at the end of the presentation, I can tell you my email address. A very good question. So Chloe is asking, does everyone get notified about volunteer opportunities for meets that their child is not part of? Yes. Yeah, you will see notifications for all of the meets that we run, so that you can participate if you want to. So once you have taken your clinics, there are two ways that these clinics can be tracked. We are sort of digressing, I guess, from the physical card way. So I will mention it, but we don't, officials don't tend to use cards as much anymore unless they had one from years ago. So the officials tracking card basically is just a piece of paper, a little card that has a list of all of the clinics that you've taken. It made sense to use a card when we were doing things in person, because you would come to my clinic, I would sign your card, and you would have that as a record. Now that we're doing most of our officiating, a lot of our clinics online, we will actually be tracking our officiating information in two places. The learning management system has your officials' information in it, as does the Swimming Canada registration system. So if I log in as an official to the registration system, I can see a list when I go to my officiating record of all of the clinics that I've taken. So you can see I took the Introduction to Swimming Officiating in 2012. And then you can see these other two columns, which are evaluations. So I'm going to talk about those in a little bit. But it lists all the different clinics, you know, has the date that I took it, and then it tells you where I took the clinic. And there's other information that's stored in the registration system as well. So those are the two ways that your information is tracked. I would encourage you to personally be responsible for ensuring that if you take clinics, they get updated in your record. It is an online system. We had a big data breach last January where data was lost. So I encourage you to keep track of your information on your own, just to verify that everything is being tracked in the online system. Okay, I'm seeing a couple of questions. Can you register for level 2 e-modules? You can. There is no restriction. What I would suggest is, though, you make sure that you take the clinics, the Introduction to Swimming Officiating first, and the Safety Marshal Clinic first, because they do give you basic information that will help you to understand the other e-modules that you might take. But you can take any of the e-modules that are available to you. Support on deck in case of questions. Yeah, so Liliana, let me get to that question in a little bit, because that's actually at the very end of my presentation. All right, so we have done a couple of things. We've registered as a swimming official. We have taken our e-modules, or we've taken our instructor, our Intro to Swimming Officiating and our Safety Marshal clinics in person. Oh, sorry, there's somebody waiting to come in. So what happens now? When we are going to host a meet, information will come out from the office, usually around a month in advance. So Jane is actually holding off on sending the information about our upcoming meet until we had this meeting tonight. So we're going to have this meeting, and you will see in the next day or so information on how to volunteer for the first novice meet of the season. So notification will come out about a month in advance, and the information will be quite detailed. So this is actually something that I would like to point out. When the information comes out, here's a little instruction sheet. It will look something like this. You will get an email, and attached to that email will be this information. Please open the document and read it. It tells you the important information that you need to know. It tells you how to find the event information and sign up. It tells you restrictions on signing up. So it's important that you read this information carefully so that you understand everything that is required. When you actually, once the sign up opens and is available for you to sign up, the way that you can find that information on the website, go to my login. So when you're logged into the Oak website as a user, I think I'm logged in here. Okay. This is your front page. Oops, sorry. Let me go back to the front page. So we're on the front page of the website, and if you scroll down, you will come to upcoming swim meets, and then it says more events. If you click there, you will then have a list of the current and upcoming competitions. And the one that we are interested in here is this one. We can see Mini Oaks Meet 1. So that's coming up on the 2nd of December. And the way that you sign up to work the meet is via this green button, which says Job Sign Up. So when you click that button, it will take you to a page which is not available right now because it's not open. But I'm going to show you what that page looks like. So when you jump into that page, hold on, let me find the right page here. It is going to look something like this, and I apologize in advance at how small it is because it's a big screen. But basically what you have listed is the different positions along the left-hand side. So you'll see hospitality, inspector of turns, marshals, timekeepers, and then along the other side, you see a bunch of check boxes. So what you need to do to sign up is you go in, you click the checkbox for the position that you want to sign up for, and at the bottom of the screen, there is this green sign up button. You click on sign up, and you will get this little box. It says, please supply your volunteer information. And then you click on the button sign up. And that's it. Now you have signed up for a position. A couple of very important things at this juncture. Please do not sign up for a job if you don't know what it is, okay? So if you have taken the timer clinic, you may sign up as a timer. If you have not taken any clinics at all, the positions that you are qualified to do are hospitality, does not require any qualifications. Marshals, does not require any qualifications. As one might imagine, if you sign up for senior officials, you are required to be a senior official. We get a remarkable number of people signing up for senior official positions when they have done nothing. So please do not sign up for a job that you are not qualified to do. If you do, I will just remove you because you obviously can't do that job. So it's really important to only sign up for jobs you're qualified to do. And if you don't know what you are qualified to do, please call the office and they will help you, okay? So that's one important thing. I will warn you that it is very competitive to get signed up for positions. Within a couple of minutes of the sign up opening, the timekeeper spots will be full. So I would also encourage you for officials that are able to do another job. So if you have been with the club for a period of time and you've learned the timekeeper role and you've also taken the inspector of turns clinic, please take that or please sign up for that job, not a timekeeper job, because we're trying to leave that for people who can't do other jobs. So part of the agreement that we have with parents is that as you get experience with the club and you've done timekeeping, you take the next clinic so that you can then do more jobs. And that allows people who are new to the club to do the jobs at the bottom, right? So it's a little bit of an upward flow. And if you don't cooperate by moving up, it means that there's a restricted number of positions for the new parents that are coming in at the bottom. Okay. Katerina, yes, that is a very good question. So your Team Unify account through Oak has one parent as sort of the member. And if it is your partner, somebody else in your household, or even your swimmer who is going to be doing the job, when you click on the button to sign up, you'll see you get this optional contact information. In that field, put the name of the person who will be doing the job. Okay, so that way we know, it will be associated with your account, but the person who's doing the job is actually the person listed here. This is important because for every person who signs up for a job, I need to go in, or the office needs to go in and make sure you have the appropriate qualifications. So if I've signed up for a job, but it's actually my husband that's going to do it, I need to make sure that he's got the proper qualifications, not me, right? So it is important that I know which partner or which parent or which family member will be doing the job, if that makes sense. Once you have signed up, your name will appear in this list. And so that you'll see that you're there. I also want people to be aware of the fact that we do at the start, when we open up the job sign up, we restrict each family to having only one opportunity, one session per meet, if you will. So when the sign up first opens for the novice meet, each family will only be able to sign up for one position. The reason for that is that we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance to get a spot. So after a few days, if there are spots left available, then you can sign up for a second position if you like. And then if there are still positions left a few days later, you can sign up for any additional spots that are available. But it's the reason we do that is so that each family has an opportunity to at least get one position within that competition. I will also remind you that as novice parents, you can also work the meets that are not novice only meets, right? So if you want to work our January meet where we have 6 or 7 sessions, you are more than welcome to sign up for those positions. And of course, there will be a lot more opportunities because there are several sessions available. Any questions about that? Afterwards, so after the sign up has completed, a couple of things will happen. At some point, that online sign up will become locked. The reason for that is because I will be creating a volunteer list called the officials grid. And in the week approaching the meet, we do not allow people to just cancel through the online sign up. If you need to cancel your position, the first thing is that you're obligated, if you just decided that you don't feel like coming, or you have a bad scheduling conflict, it's your responsibility to find someone to take your spot, because it would be very challenging for me to find all kinds of spares and stuff the week leading into a competition. Of course, if it is an emergency, you're sick, or if there's a family emergency, that's always, of course, an exception that we will deal with. But either way, you are required to email me personally to let me know that you can't make it, so that we have an opportunity to try to find a replacement. Let me just quick look. I signed up for a volunteer job in the last meet. Where can I check the records? Okay. I'll get back to that, Lynn, a little bit at the end, if that's okay. There's a process where you can go and look to see what you've done. And actually, Jane has some instructions on the website as well that will let you go look for that. So in the week approaching the meet, a couple of things will happen. There'll be some notifications that will come out with an officials grid. And let me just go quickly show you what that. Let's see if I have one here. So the officials grid will be posted in a couple of ways. We will send a link for it, but it will also be in this part of the website under swim meet information. Officials swim meet information. So you can see here for our last competition, the officials grid is posted. It is far more complex than the one for the novice meet will be, because it was 4 sessions, or so it's a lot more condensed. But the one for the meet that you will be attending for the novice meet, there's only going to be 1 section on it, so it will be a lot simpler. But you can make sure that you are listed in the officials grid if you think you should be working. There will also be instructions, very detailed instructions on when you should arrive, what you should wear, all that kind of stuff. So that information will come out as well. Again, we'll send you the links via email, and it will also be posted on the website. And then hopefully you will come and enjoy yourself. Okay, so sorry, just answering a question. Typically, how long are the meets? That depends. Typically, a session would be in the neighborhood of 3 to 4 hours, in addition to a warm-up. So usually what happens is officials are required to attend a briefing. So we ask for you to come at the start of warm-up. So you would be there for that time, and then the session would be usually 3 to 4 hours. So your requirement is probably 4 to 5 hours, depending on the particular session. Sometimes it's a little shorter, sometimes it's a little longer. Can a person who has only done e-modules get higher levels, take these positions without having gained the experience? So yes and no. As the safety marshal clinic, typically safety marshals are positions that are assigned to people who have a little bit more experience. So we don't often assign a brand new official to be a safety marshal. So it's a bit of a special case in terms of jobs. However, if you have taken the timer clinic, you should work as a timer before you work as an inspector of turns if you took the inspector of turns clinic. So you can take them sequentially without experience, but before you do the job, you should work as a timer. So there is a bit of a hierarchy, right? You take the introduction to swimming, which is a timekeeper course, you work as a timer. You take the inspector of turns course, you work as an inspector of turns. If you take them sequentially without experience in the middle, just make sure before you do the inspector of turns jobs, you've actually worked as a timer, right? Because it is a bit of a hierarchy. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, the inspector of turns clinic, basically that clinic tells you the rules of the strokes. It doesn't necessarily relate completely to timekeeping, but you do need to have a feel of the pool deck, how the meet is going to be run and organized before you can sort of do that next stage job, if that makes sense. Perfect. Great. I'm glad that makes sense. All right. So we've got volunteering, we've signed up for our jobs. What else do we need to do? So in terms of next steps, we've taken the timekeeper clinic, we've gotten experience as a timer. The next clinic that you would take is generally the inspector of turns clinic. It is available only as an instructor-led clinic. When I say instructor-led, it means that it can be delivered either in person, so in a room, all sitting together. It can be delivered via Zoom. But regardless, this clinic is only offered with an instructor leading it. It is not offered as an e-module at all. Building on the inspector of turns clinic is the judge of strokes clinic, also involved in the rules. Also involved in the rules, but it is a more senior clinic, and I would recommend that you get experience as an inspector of turns before you take that clinic. At any time in there, you can also take the chief timer clinic and the administration desk clinic. Those are available as an instructor-led or an e-learning module. So once you have gotten experience as a timer, as an inspector of turns, then the chief timer and administration desk clinics are sort of your next options. Once you've done all of those things, you're ready to be a level 2 official, which is something that I would wait and talk to you about in a further session, because it's a big step from level 1. So I'm more focused right now on just making sure that everybody is comfortable with the beginning the beginning, which is being a timer. Now, I did mention that there's another job on the deck, which you can do without any qualifications, and that job is called a marshal. Not to be confused with safety marshal, it is called a marshal. The job of marshaling only exists at our novice competitions for our Mini Oaks swimmers. And the marshals basically take our swimmers and organize them so that they are ready to swim behind the blocks. So what happens is when the swimmers are ready to do their events, there are marshals that will organize them into heats so that then when they go behind the blocks, they're all in the proper lanes and they get up and they swim their races. When the swimmers get older, we no longer have marshaling to organize them. They know when to go for their races. So we don't have that position at our higher level performance meets, but we do have them for our little kids, for our Mini Oaks swimmers. You can be a marshal without any qualifications. You do need to be registered as a Swimming Canada official, but you do not have to have taken any clinics. Yes, I will make the slides available. Jane will put them on the website so that anybody who would like to have access to them certainly can. I want to reinforce a concept, which is that we are not the only club that runs swim meets. When your swimmers begin, they will probably only swim at our competitions. However, as your swimmers move through the program, they will go to competitions which are hosted outside of Oak. You can work as an official at any competition once you have taken the appropriate clinic. So you're a registered Swimming Canada official. In theory, you could work at any competition in Canada. We do encourage you, if you go to a competition and you're interested, to use your skills in other places. Oftentimes when you're getting ready to go to other competitions, you will see notices come out from the office that says, you know, such and such a competition is looking for some additional officials to help at their competition. So you are welcome to help at those meets. It's a great opportunity to get experience, but just keep in mind those sessions do not count towards your VIP requirements. So I would encourage you to work at other meets. It's a great experience. You get to know people. You know, other competitions may be challenged in trying to staff their decks. It's a problem that we all encounter. So I would encourage you to consider once your swimmers go to other competitions to help out. Host clubs will always appreciate that, but we don't actually have them. Oh, good, Lynn. I see that you found it. Okay. But we don't actually have that counted towards your VIP requirements. So these were other questions that I had from our last session, so I thought they might be helpful. How long is a session? We talked about. How are the sessions tracked? So the sessions are basically tracked through your Team Unify account. And if you're interested to find out how many sessions you have done, there is a report that you can do, and you can actually find that information. Roles that don't require standing. For the most part, at this stage of the game, most of the officials' roles require you to be able to stand, step up onto the bulkhead, step back down. There are a couple of sort of roles involving the computer systems upstairs, which would involve more sitting. But for the most part, at this level, most of the roles do require you to stand to a certain extent and be able to get up on and off of a chair. Somebody asked this question earlier: mentorship on deck when you're in a new role. So there are always senior officials that are available on the deck to ask and answer questions for new officials. When you're a timer, the position of chief timer is generally your go-to person. So that's the person who will help you if you don't know how to take a split, and step in. Thank you, Lavender. Step in for you if you need to have a break. So that is the person that will be your mentor in that role. Once you move to an IT position and other positions on the deck, there are other senior officials that are usually circulating the deck that are there and available to support and mentor. So it is really one of those real world experience kind of jobs. Really the only way to get experience is to just get out there and to do it. Clinics provide a little bit of the background information, but really there's nothing like on the job training. So just for anybody who didn't notice, Lavender just put in to the chat that you can get your service hours by looking at my account info, and then service hours. So that tells you how many sessions you've done. Timekeeping spots always fill up. What can I do to get my volunteer sessions? I mean, the most important thing to do is once you've done your timekeeper job a few times, please take the inspector of turns clinic. The most positions on the deck, on the pool deck, are inspectors of turns. We have a lot of those, a lot of that position, usually 18 to 20 of them bodies on the deck. So the quicker you can sort of move up into that role, the faster you will have a wealth of opportunities, because we are often looking to fill that particular job. And then once you've done that, I mean, hopefully you're staying with the club and your swimmer is staying with the club long enough to begin moving up from there. We do occasionally have student volunteers that will help at our competitions. So swimmers need to be 14 to take the timer clinic, and they need to be 16 to take the inspector of turns clinic. But at that time, once they've taken the clinics, and if they would like to volunteer and get student hours, they can do that. And then basically they, whatever way you require student hours to be reported back to your school, you can just let me know and we can sign off on that. How many are timekeeping spots per session? 16, plus usually 2 spares. So usually 18. But it seems like a lot, but it fills up quicker than you think. So that is sort of a quick overview on what I wanted to talk about.